If you love boxing, you're gonna love this.
Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the BoxNation Podcast. I'm your host, Dev Sani, and this week I am joined by a man who doesn't worry about fitting in because he is custom made. It is, of course, Mr. Steve Lillis. How are you?
I'm good. Good day to you, Dev. Good day to you, my friend.
Day to
It's
you.
lovely to be here. What are you, episode? What are we on? 27, 28? They fly by.
Hey, they are flying by. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? That's what they say, isn't it, Steve?
That's right, mate. That's right.
You have a good weekend? Smash any more marathons or anything?
No, I was just had a great weekend in the BoxNation studio with Alex Stephen watching Terence Crawford. Doesn't get much better than that for a weekend.
Is he the best fighter in the world, Steve?
Oh, you know what? If you haven't, look, all I'll say is if you haven't got him or Lomachenko in your top two, I think, you know, you've called it wrong. You can't. I can't split them. I watch Lomachenko. I think he's the best in the world. I watch Crawford. I think he's the best in the world.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. And we talk about Crawford on this week's show. We look back on the weekend's action. Terence Crawford became a 3-weight world champion. He stopped Jeff Horn in 9 rounds. He drew comparisons to Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, obviously, that was Bob Arum, his promoter, who said that. He's going to big him up, isn't he? But he is pretty good. And we hear from the WBO World Super Bantamweight champion and friend of BoxNation, Isaac Dogboe. The English super middleweight champion, Darryl Williams, tells us how he retired, but now he's unretired. He's coming back. And the undefeated super lightweight sensation, Jack Catterall, speaks to us ahead of his clash with Tyrone McKenna. Stick with us. We love to talk boxing. Enjoy. Last Saturday night, Terence Crawford improved to 33-0 when he stopped the previously undefeated Jeff Horn in 9 rounds to win the WBO World Welterweight title. In the process, he became a 3-weight world champion. Let's hear from the man they call Bud after another emphatic win.
And like I told y'all before, I'm strong. You know, y'all didn't believe me, and I was way stronger than him. You know, y'all kept telling me how strong he was, but y'all didn't give me enough credit, so I had to go in there and show y'all.
You did go in there and prove that tonight. What kind of statement do you think you send to the other talent at 147 that were watching you tonight?
Oh, we here. You know, like I said, my power carried up. You know, my physicality got stronger, and we here now.
You mentioned this was the takeover. What did you mean by that?
Hey, y'all try to compare me to Manny Pacquiao. You see what I just did to him?
All right, walk me through the fight, because at the end of the 8th round, it looked like you had him hurt. Then you came out in round 9. What were the instructions in the corner when you finished?
Oh, my coach wanted me to go right-handed. I told him, I said, no, I'm going to stay left-handed. I got him. Don't worry about it. You know? So that was just a conversation that we had in the corner.
All right, 147, a lot of talent. Who does Terence Crawford want?
I want the other champions. I want the big fights. Bob, let's make it happen.
Well, that was Terence Crawford, who has really put the welterweight division on notice. Let's hear now from the vanquished Jeff Horn at the post-fight press conference.
I really wanted to press him forward. I was actually even thinking of, in my head, I'm like, oh, I can just imagine what Jeff Fennick or someone's saying right now. I'm just going, he'd be just going, stay on his chest, stay on his chest. And it's like, oh, I just couldn't get on him, and he did very well boxing. His skills in boxing were very good.
Do you feel that you had more in you when the fight was stopped? Because
Yeah, I definitely had more in me before that fight was stopped. I thought it was a little bit early, but look, he's just trying to look after me. I know, as I said before, Joanna would have been extremely happy about it, even though I'm not extremely happy about it. But it wasn't going my way. But those championship rounds, I really feel like I lived.
Can you win a rematch?
Oh, possibly, yeah. I definitely think I can win a rematch if we had a rematch, and surely I should be allowed one because I was the champion.
Do you have more left in the development of your style to trouble some of these slicker guys?
Yeah, definitely. I've got. Look, I should have worked harder in that fight. I should have probably upset him a fair bit more. It was frustrating. I was frustrated in there, but I definitely didn't work the things that I was meant to do in there, and I feel I was slightly off in the ring tonight.
Can you compare his power to Manny Pacquiao's for me, and just what are the differences?
Look, it's very similar. It's hard to to kind of differentiate. If you get punched in the head, they all hurt. So I can show you.
Steve, before we get into Crawford and Horn, let me just remind you of a prediction I made on this very podcast last week. I think he's a good fighter. I think Terence Crawford is a great fighter, and I see Crawford stopping him around the 9th. That's me, Steve. You put me on the spot, and now I've delivered. Push me up against the wall. I'm going to push you back. Here I am. 9th round. Terence Crawford. I said it. How about that, Steve, eh?
Hey, you know what? I remember, even though it was at 4:30 in the morning when that fight finished, I was about to give you a name check on BoxNation to the masses who were watching this great fighter, Terence Crawford, and we suddenly went to a Jeff Horn interview. So Jeff Horn stopped you getting your name on TV.
Goodness me, the irony after I brought him to our listeners last week. How dare he? So how good's Crawford?
He was brilliant. He put the B in brilliant. You could not say that was an almost flawless performance. He doesn't do everything good. He does everything so well. What amazed me the most was how strong he was at the weight. Because, look, I'm not going to say Horn's the greatest welterweight champion of all time. Let's be honest there. But he's very strong, big at the weight. Crawford looked bigger and stronger, and I thought he had a look for a round or two. It was almost like Mayweather would look at opponents for a round or two, just try a couple of little things that maybe work, don't work. And after about 5 minutes into the fight, he was poetry in motion. He just got everything. And what we're seeing now is his power. He's now got his power. He had since he become champion, I think only Postal and maybe Beltran, who's an Iron Man, have taken him the distance. He's now walking through people. Good fighters like Julius Indongo, as well. Right? He's just walking through people, and that was a message to the welterweight division that put them on standby for a new star in the division. It was absolutely fantastic. I can't praise him enough. And as I said at the top there, maybe today I'll say he's the best in the world. But when we see Lomachenko on BoxNation, again, he's one of our regular fighters like Crawford, who belongs on the channel and fights on the channel. I'll be saying he's the best in the world, I dare say. But let's just say it's a toss of a coin between those two.
Well, Steve, when you were talking about him, you mentioned he was a bit like Mayweather in terms of how he looks at his opponent initially and then kind of puts it on them, just kind of collects the data. Well, Bob Arum has compared him to Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, are we allowed to say that? Is he allowed? I guess if anyone is, he is.
He's his promoter. He's promoted Sugar Ray Leonard. He's promoted Muhammad Ali. Bob Arum's been in boxing longer than anyone, and Top Rank are the #1 promoters in the world, as we see with all their shows we have on the channel. They are the #1 in the world in America still, through Bob, the great work by his stepson, Todd LaBeouf. And if he says there's comparisons, I know he's saying that as a promoter. Look, he's special. I'm not going to go down the Sugar Ray Leonard route yet, but he is special. If he went and beat Errol Spence and then beat a Furman and then cleaned up the welterweight division, had 4 belts at welterweight like he did super lightweight, you put him as an all-time great. So why not?
Yeah,
why can't he become as good as Sugar Ray Leonard? We put these guys up there, Sugar Ray Leonard as greats, and they are, but you can if Crawford can become as good, it's almost as if when you say, how dare they compare him with Sugar Ray Leonard? Why can't he become as good as Sugar Ray Leonard? And if not better?
Absolutely. That's something I always like to look at. Like people are always hesitant to mention Sugar Ray Leonard or Sugar Ray Robinson more so, because that's a different era. Fighters were fighting every other week and fighting the best every other week. But you feel as though Sugar Ray Leonard is a kind of a more attainable era to compare with. It's a better kind of framework. So, great. I think Bob Arum secretly has been saying about all of his sort of golden geese anyway, though. I think he said the similar sort of stuff about Mayweather when he had him and Pacquiao. But I do wonder if he does beat Errol Spence and kind of clears up welterweight. Let's talk about it.
You make a fantastic point there, Dev, and that's better. That point's better than your prediction the other night. You know what? You said something so true there. It was about, Sugar Ray Leonard's a more comparable era for people. And it just shows generations in boxing, for example. Like, I'm a generation or two ahead of you in covering boxing, Dev. Not because I'm older. I'm mid-50s. So that's the reason why, And it's when I come into this sport, and we had Leonard and all them, and, I was lucky enough to be in that Leonard era as a boxing fan for, they were just ending their careers when I started in this sport. Yeah, so when you compare eras there, Devon, that is spot on, because when I'd started out in this game, I'd be watching middleweights coming through like Ben and Eubank, and okay, they weren't all-time greats, they were fantastic at their middleweights, and, Ben was licensed to thrill every time he got through the ropes. I would hear older journalists like Colin Hart say, what would Sugar Ray Robinson have done to them? Because they were growing up in that era. So that's a really valid point to make there about generations. And it's like, in 20 years' time, Dev, you'll hear people talking boxing, and you will be talking, hopefully, about the Crawford and Lomachenko generation as your golden era in boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're almost starting to get a little bit of it now with Mayweather. I mean, he's only just retired. I guess his last proper fight was the Andre Berto fight. But you are seeing little bits of, I wonder how this guy, Errol Spence, for example, would have got on with Mayweather. Terence Crawford, how would he have done against Mayweather? So you can see there's always going to be some history to compare with. Tell me about Jeff Horn then, Steve. I mean, in that post-fight press conference, he's asked if he would win the rematch, and he goes, possibly. Definitely. Yeah. I feel I was a bit slightly off. I just don't think answering a question like that with possibly is a good start. I think he knows.
Look, he wouldn't beat him in a month. And I'm not knocking him. He's lost to a special fighter. Let's just get that right. He's lost to a brilliant fighter. So, let's just not go there even.
And do you think the stoppage was early? That's something that's coming out from their camp?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, there was no complaints from Jeff Horn at the time, nor his corner. And if you look at the, there wasn't no serious complaints. It's afterwards they can start these complaints, but there was nothing wrong at all with that stoppage at all, Dev. He just saved him from getting knocked out. I think Horn, if anything wasn't right for Horn, it was the build up with the people around him in the corner, the way they behaved all week.
Yeah, and even now they're talking about we want to do a rematch in Australia. Like, I mean, it doesn't sound like something that would be on the top of Crawford's list when his ambition is to, go belt collecting. It's like, no, I'll go to Australia for a rematch.
I haven't seen that. These people, some of these people that work in boxing, it must be the only sport in the world where you can come out with such stupid comments. I haven't seen that, Deb. We want the rematch in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
He's only going to grow into the weight and get better. He's going to find it harder to make the weight. He could do what he wanted to him in a rematch. Get in the real world, team, Horn.
Absolutely. And what he said in that post-fight press conference, in the post-fight interview, Terence Crawford, he says now he wants the other champs. He's putting the pressure on Bob Arum to make fights with the other champs. So let's look at that landscape quickly, Steve. The WBC is being contested by Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Spence, we know, as the IBF. And the WBA has got two champions, I believe. It's got the regular in Lucas Matisse, who's defending against Pacquiao, and there's Keith Thurman, who's kind of the one of your favourites, Steve?
Yeah, I said on Saturday night on the show, Spence is the fight of the weight. That's the fight that torpedoes him towards greatness right now because of the high opinion so many people have in America and around the world of Errol Spence. Beating Spence is the one that torpedoes him towards that Sugar Ray Leonard direction. Thurman is a fight I'd love to see, but let's see what Thurman's looks like. I think he makes his return. Is it August 4, Dev?
Something like that. Well, he keeps getting moved. That's the thing with Thurman. Yeah.
He's finally planning to get back in the ring. Look, you'd fancy him to walk through Garcia and Porter, but they're great names to have on the CV. And I just wonder that if Top Rank I wouldn't be surprised if he fought Benavides, who won on the undercard the other night.
Yes.
Next. I wouldn't mind if they squeezed in a defence about that because you can't just make these super fights overnight. And Crawford's a fighter who says he wants to fight 3-4 times a year. So he'll want to get out again October, November. I wouldn't be surprised. And Top Rank have got the dates through ESPN to get him out. And, of course, we'll see that on BoxNation. But, Spence is the fight. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't shock me. And I know people might go, oh, no, please. But if Manny Pacquiao beat Matisse, I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Arum tried to make that for the end of the year.
Well,
because
you say that,
the bottom line is that was meant to be the fight the other night.
Yeah, absolutely it was. I heard an interview with Bob Arum the other day actually saying that Manny Pacquiao doesn't want any part of Terence Crawford, and he was quite honest about it. He said Manny Pacquiao is happy to get down to 135 pounds to fight Lomachenko, but he thinks at this point in his career, Terence Crawford would be wrong for him. So I think Bob Contrali likes to make that fight, but Manny Pacquiao doesn't want to just be there to be beaten up kind of thing, which might well be the case against this version of Terence Crawford.
He would do. And the thing is, he's only going to get better at welterweight. He looked strong the other night. And as he grows into the weight, he becomes a bigger favourite. Certainly, if him and Spence were on a collision course for, say, 18 months and they kept him pressing, Crawford is only growing. And I think he'd become a favourite to win that fight.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to Terence Crawford, now a 3-weight world champion. And we can't wait to see him again on BoxNation. We've got that deal with Top Rank. We bring you all of his fights. And please come back soon, Terence Crawford. Now, last week we heard from undefeated Tyrone McKenna, who was buzzing ahead of his clash with Jack Catterall in Belfast at the end of the month. McKenna felt as though Catterall was overlooking him by tweeting Ahara Davis, telling him that he would be next. Well, here's Steve Lillis with Jack Catterall.
Jack, thanks for joining us yet again on the BoxNation podcast. You're becoming a bit of a regular. But before we better speak to you about the fight with Tyrone McKenna. What's your take on the fight? A lot of people are excited about it.
I'm excited as well for the fight. I last boxed in Leeds a little over 3 weeks ago, and I didn't get the outing I wanted in Leeds. I've only had 2 rounds in the ring this year, so to pull it out the bag for me, unfortunately, Phil Sutcliffe had to pull out the fight. I hope he recovers well, but no, I'm happy to step in. I've been in a good place this year with my new training team, and I'm really made up that they put me on the show, and fighting a good fighter in Tyrone. I know he's going to come to fight. He'll have the home crowd there, but I'm looking to fly over and upset the odds.
Tyrone is he's full of respect for you. He likes you as a person, a fighter. He said you get on well, but he seems to think you may overlook him, which I found a bit bizarre anyway.
Yeah, and I think there was a tweet put out the other day that he said I'd overlooked him, but I mean, the only way I can read into that is that another fellow fighter in our division had tweeted me on several occasions, and this time I replied to him. Normally I would just hear him and not pay no mind. I did reply to him. I said, you're getting it next, but in no way was that overlooking Tyrone. I know I've got a job to do June 30th, and I'm fully focused on doing that.
I take it you're not mentioning that particular junior welterweight's name, are you now?
Yeah, for me, it's I've got a fight scheduled. I wouldn't want to make any podcast or any interview about him. It's about me. It's about my fight with Tyrone. I mean, there's a lot of good fighters in our division, and he was just another fighter, obviously itching for his opportunity.
Obviously, okay, I can name him anyway. So Ahara Davis, you're forgetting about, certainly for now. Tyrone McKenna, is he a different style to what you've been fighting? He's 6 foot, southpaw.
Yep, every fighter poses a different threat. Tyrone, like you said, 6 foot to 6 foot, southpaw. But and I always believe that a fighter has to be able to adapt, and that's what I work on in the gym every day. Being able to deal with different styles, orthodox southpaw, fast fighters, defensive fighters, and it's not the first time I've been up against a tall fighter. Back in 2014, I fought Nathan Ruff, and he was 6'1". Again, I boxed Tyrone Nurse. He was up there, nearly 6 foot. Awkward fighters, but I believe once the bell goes, I'll soon have him figured out. And like I said again, I'm going over there to get this victory.
How's it going with Jamie Moore in that gym? You sound very positive and happy about things around that whole environment with elite fighters.
Yeah, it's been brilliant for me. been a couple of months now in the gym, and see, me and Jamie have had the 2 fights together, but it's only been 2 rounds in the corner. So the fights have only gone 1 round each, but I'm not complaining. The training's been brilliant. I've had some good, tough sparring. All the lads in the gym have got big fights coming up, so everybody's bouncing off each other. And it's really, not that I'm not a motivated fighter, but it's really stepped it up for me. I'm hungrier than I ever was.
What's it like in the gym with Carl Frampton? Because he's your gym mate and he's a pal of Tyrone's.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to. Carl, I know he's training at the moment. He's been out in Tenerife. I think he'll be back over in the gym Monday, so I've yet to speak to him, but I'll have him in my corner come fight night.
And what is it that's made you settle so well with Jamie Moore and Nigel, do you think?
We just really got on. I think the first session I went down to try out with Jamie, it felt right straight away. I felt comfortable, and that's the main thing, really, enjoying the environment. Because if you don't feel comfortable with the people that you're around, not that I didn't do before, but I feel really comfortable and I'm getting the best out of myself. We're training every day. Like today, we've been in the gym, we've been working on things for Tyrone. Just feel real comfortable in the gym, really relaxed, and that'll get the best out of me.
And is it good the way Jamie still finds time for a one-to-one training when there's so many of you in there over the period of the morning and afternoon?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Jamie's got it figured out well. We've got Jamie and Nigel Travis in the gym, so between them both, he splits it up well. Like today, the lads were in, some were sparring, all the times were staggered, so you always get that one-to-one time where you can focus on your individual work, and yeah, it works well.
He's, as you say, Tyrone's 6'1". We saw another 6'1" junior welterweight on Saturday night, Maurice Hooker. You would have seen the fight. What do you think of Hooker as a fighter? Would you beat him?
100%, Steve. I watched that fight weekend. I've been following them both training. Obviously, what you can see on the social media, but I thought Terry would have done it weekend. But obviously, I know once you can figure a fighter out, it's pretty straightforward, and he didn't have much. He didn't adapt well to what Hooker was doing. Like, he's got that style and he couldn't change what he was doing, and it didn't work for him on that fight like it worked in all these previous fights. But from watching Hooker, I mean, again, I wouldn't overlook Tyrone, but they're the kind of fights I want to be involved in, and from watching that Hooker at weekend, I'd be confident in going there and taking that title from him.
And I think, you're going into your opponent. Okay, you might be, I suppose some people consider you the favourite against Tyrone, but you're still an A-list fighter going into the other man's backyard. So that must only hold you in good stead for these sort of big nights that await you later in your career.
Yeah, 100%. I've been in this position before. I had to go to Liverpool earlier on to fight Tom Stalker in his back garden. The fight in Leeds with Tyrone was in his back garden. But, I mean, it doesn't matter where the boxing ring is in the world. Once that bell goes, it's just me and that fighter in the ring. I hope they all turn out in Belfast to support the boxing. I think more than anything, the fans are excited for a good fight on the card, and I know that I'll get a good reception out there and bring in quite a lot of people over, so I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, Tyrone was telling us he spoke to Michael Conlon when your fight was announced, and Michael said to him there was more people talking about Catterall against McKenna than his homecoming fight.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of polls on Twitter, and because I know on this show there's quite a lot of 50-50 fights, and I think our fight's being talked about quite a lot, which is good for both of us. It is a good fight. We're both undefeated. Obviously, Tyrone took the fight 4 or 5 weeks out. I'd not long just come out of the ring from Leeds. I kind of had an idea I was going to get out again, so I was straight back in the gym. But it's a brilliant fight.
And just one final thing, we touched on Terry Flanagan earlier. Can Terry bounce back from this setback?
Yeah, of course he can. He's got to get in the gym and figure out what went wrong. But I have no doubt that he'll come back and continue fighting.
Steve, I'll tell you what. This kid is quickly becoming one of my favourite fighters.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of his, aren't you, Dev? You often big him up to me.
Yeah.
You know what? Something you said to me the other day, Dev, is so true. We forget he's only 24.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
It seems like he's been around, he's been like a prospect forever. but those L plates are coming off slowly. You know, we maybe underestimate how good the win against Tyrone Nurse was. The win even against Joe Hughes, he Joe's he hasn't won, but a couple good results. You know, stopping Stalker, stopping Nathan Bruff. There's some really nice results on there. And if he beats Tyrone McKenna, that joins that list. It's a really good fight, and he's going away again. You know, he's not worried about going away, and he sounds in a good place when I interviewed him the other day. And I think you spoke to him at the weekend as well, didn't you?
Yeah, spoke to him at the weekend. He's in good spirits. As he said in that interview, he doesn't want to be seen to be overlooking Tyrone McKenna in any way, shape or form. He just decided at that point he needed to shut O'Hara Davis down. And he did with his best ever tweet. And I told him that's the best ever tweet you've sent. I'd imagine his phone was red hot. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to repeat it word for word, but it was along the lines of, come and service me. You're next.
Yeah,
so that's it.
But what was it? That interview, he won't even mention O'Hara's name now. O'Hara really finds a way. I'd always seen O'Hara letting himself go a little bit these days. He's nothing like what he was. He still seems to be rubbing people up the wrong way.
It's a funny division, a lot of characters in there. One thing I'll just mention about Catterall, because it hasn't been mentioned in a while. This guy has sparred Floyd Mayweather. He has sparred Canelo Alvarez. That kind of tutelage, that kind of learning. You went on the road to do that. Imagine all those rounds that he's done, all that experience that he's gathered. And now I think we're really starting to see it. He's becoming the man of the fighter that he's going to be. You know, the next few years we're really going to see the best of him.
Yeah, I think by the end of this year, you know, if he beats Tyrone, and it's a fantastic fight. Tyrone's, you know, I think Jack's about 6-7 inches shorter than him. They're both southpaws. If he beats him, he really kicks on. He then must go into, you know, maybe there's one more domestic fight for him, a O'Hara Davis or Terry Flanagan maybe, and then he kicks on for the world. He reaches for the world because he's been, you know, Jack won't mind me saying this. He's been a prospect long enough now, and he served his apprenticeship. You know, he's 21-0. He's a good fighter. As you say, he's doing plenty of learning away from the gym. You know, he went to Las Vegas and then he went to spar with Canelo on that same trip, with Mayweather and then Canelo. And you know what? He's in that stable now with a lot of good fighters around him. You know, Carl Frampton's preparing for a big fight. Martin Murray's had, you know, several world title chances. That sort of experience. There's Rocky Field in the gym who's preparing for some kind of world title fight in July. He's around elite fighters. So, and what he'll gain from being around those people is something else.
What about the Hooker fight? He says that he would 100% beat Hooker. Now, Maurice Hooker, of course, I guess it was an upset. I mean, by the bookies, it certainly was an upset. He came over to Manchester and he beat Terry Flanagan over the weekend. So Steve, a couple of things. How can Catterall beat Hooker? 1, and 2, how did you see Hooker and Flanagan going?
Yeah. Hey, Catterall's very good, and you'd give him a great chance against Hooker. You know, it's you toss a coin on it, but it's certainly a winnable fight. And you know, he's fought tall men before. He's fighting another tall man there, McKenna. Nathan Bruff's about 6'1", 6'2", so he's beaten these guys. It's certainly a winnable fight, but not an easy fight. At Flanagan against Hooker was far better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest there. He was very good. His talent is going to be very hard to beat. I think he's going in the Super Series. Terry, the best man, won on the night. I've got to be honest. And I'm saying that as someone who's quite close to Terry. We go running and stuff. I thought Hooker won on the night. I thought Terry was a little bit flat-footed, maybe when he on the inside when he should have been dominating a taller opponent. He wasn't, but Hooker was very, very good, and we got to give all credit to Maurice Hooker and not say it was a bad Terry Flanagan or blame the cuts or anything. The best man won on the night, and that's the way boxing should be. I'm absolutely gutted for Terry, but if Terry had got the decision or even a draw, because you know, you look at the scorecards, that 115, 113, that's only one round away from making the fight a draw. Even there, I would have thought, well, you got away with one there, Terry. And had Terry won, I wouldn't have been as shocked if the WBO would have ordered a rematch straight away, because you know the controversy it would have caused. I got no problem at all. I had it close in the 117, 111. I think I had Hooker by 3 or 4 rounds in a very good fight, but it wasn't, you know, a 4-round. You know, wide, but the right man won. There can be no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think with Hooker, there was a feeling perhaps, I mean, I underestimated him. Up until fight week, I think a lot of people underestimated him. People were looking ahead. They were like, okay, then, Flanagan grabs that belt. Then we've got Catterall there. You got Ahara Davis there. We've got a wonderful, booming kind of UK scene there with a world title at stake. But Hooker, I was speaking to someone from his team in the week actually, and the guy's got 8 kids and a vasectomy. So yeah, he's got mouths to feed. Yeah, so it really meant a lot to him. He came with a lot of hunger, and also the person I was speaking to really explained away that Darly's Perez draw that he had. So I think that was a real. Everyone just thought, oh well, look, he's drawn with Darly's Perez. Darly's Perez got stopped by Crawler, didn't he? And he's not. No great shake. So Hooker can't be that great if he's drawing with him, and secretly, he might have lost that fight. But apparently, he had like a perforated eardrum heading into that fight, and he just needed the money, so he went through with it.
You can see why he needs the money. But just out of interest, Dev, just going to ask you, I was going to ask you. You sort of touched on it then. I wasn't going to ask you before you mentioned it. Come fight night, did you give Hooker a chance, or were you still firmly in the Flanagan camp?
I was
because you was around them all week. That's the reason why you was in Manchester for I think 4 or 5 nights, weren't you? With Tyson Fury throwing you out the ring and snatching the microphone off you. I just wondered if you've been around them. You don't have to see a fighter in the gym. You suddenly think, hold on, we have a fight here.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone ringside, Aki from British Boxers, and I said, I'm just, great guy, really good guy, and I just said, there's so much confidence oozing from this Hooker camp, and they've spent all week acting like they know something that we don't, and that's the impression that I had going into it, and that's kind of what transpired. Hooker was a bit underestimated. Flanagan, gave his all. And there we have it. Maurice Hooker was better than we expected, it looks like, and he got the win. But tell me about the rest of the card then, Steve. You caught up with some of it. Tyson Fury made his comeback. What did you make of that?
Look, it was what it was. It was Tyson. The reaction on social media afterwards. You know what? I'm getting fed up with social media. I should give it up, really.
Tell it off.
I really should have a week off from it, because I was looking at the reaction afterwards. Look, people were writing, get in the real world. The guy's lost 8 stone, been out 2.5 years. If he was performing like that in his 3rd or 4th comeback fight, I'd be worried. Look, he knew. He just seemed to know. He could just win whenever he wanted. Maybe if I was going to pick a hole, I would have said I would have liked to see him done it in the 1st round. But I'm telling you, as a little bit more weight comes off, maybe another stone. I'm not sure about the 1.5 stone. What people, I know Frank Warren thinks 1.5 stone, but a bit more weight comes off and better opponents, he'll get better. I'm not here saying he's gonna go and decapitate Joshua and Wilder right now. He will get better. But some of these people afterwards, 4 rounds of a guy who's lost 8 stone, and you're losing 8 stone. It must be hard to train to fight.
If I lost 8 stone, Steve, there really wouldn't be much left of me, to be honest.
Nothing. There will be nothing. Mrs. Sarney will be very worried, mate.
But I'll tell you something. With this Fury thing, I think there were very few scenarios where the momentum could keep going on. I think what you said about getting him out in the 1st round, I don't think that would have gone down very well, because then it would have been like, oh, he's just done him in the 1st round. Look, we told you it was an absolute joke. I think around the 4th, 5th, then it's like he's got a few rounds under his belt. It's just a shame Safari didn't give a bit more and go out on his shield, so to speak.
Yeah, maybe we're in a situation there where Fury couldn't win the other night. Maybe if Safari knew the size of it, he went into that thinking, hold on, I'll see what I can do, or how long I can get through this fight. If I can fiddle my way through it, great. If I can't, I can't. But one thing I'm not going to do is stand in front of him. If he had, he would have got taken out most probably in the 1st round.
Well, we stood in front of him just before the fight started and got a lovely kiss. A real viral moment. That was never seen anything like it.
There'll be better nights and better performances to come from Tyson, where people actually turn around after him and say, yeah, he's still the man.
It's all coming. And I'll tell you what, who stole the show for me on that night? It was Nathan Gorman. My goodness, what a performance that was. That's career best. That's a statement. Stopping Sean Turner, who went the distance with Hrgovic. Were you impressed, Steve?
You know what, Ricky Hatton, and I live about 2.5 miles from that gym. It's the nearest gym to my house, and I pop up there quite a bit just to put my head around the corner. I know Nathan and his dad, and the family. And I've always thought, yeah, he's decent. Good fight for Dubois. That in a couple of years, they'll both get well paid. They'll both be unbeaten.
Yeah.
You're now looking at it now thinking, what a fight that's going to be, Dubois and Gorman when it takes place. What a fight. And hey, Devon, I'm sure you were the same, so I think you were. Don't tell me you weren't. I think a few months ago you was in the same camp as me, that Gorman's decent, could win a British title, but when he fights Dubois, great fight, both unbeaten young heavyweights, but Dubois wins. Now you're thinking, oh, what a fight if Dubois don't put this kid away.
That's just it. We've got one of those situations now with Dubois and Gorman where all eyes are going to be on Dubois' next performance. And if Dubois knocks out Tom Little very quick, looks very, very good, then everyone's going to be like, well, yeah, obviously do the same to Gorman. And then you look at Gorman's next performance, Gorman will smash someone up, and then we'll be like, oh, yeah, he's a big problem for Dubois. He beat Dubois. So we've got a great narrative developing there where they're almost competing without competing.
And you know what? Dubois won't tell you this, and Nathan sort of gets at it. There's a bit of edge between them from Sheffield. They must have sparred 250 rounds. And I understand now, if someone wants to correct me here, please do, and I'll apologise. I understand they only shared a room for 1 or 2 nights before they got split up.
Yeah, I think Gorman told us that on the podcast.
Did he?
Yeah.
One night, because they just didn't. I mean, Gorman. What Nathan said in the nicest terms was that they're just different personalities. Nathan liked to mix with the rest of the lads at night, and sit down, have a chat in their recreational room, go for a walk, go to the cinema. Whereas Daniel was just focused, didn't say a word to anybody, just went there, trained, and that was it.
Yeah, that's just it. I don't think it was a case of they were split up like, someone's separating them because they're about to go at it. It was just completely didn't click at all as people. And at that point, they're trying to. There's camaraderie. There's supposed to be anyway, but nothing like that. So back to Jack Catterall, Tyrone McKenna, June 30th. It's a great fight, and it's going to be live on BoxNation. It's Mick Conlan's homecoming show. We're really looking forward to that. It's a cracker on the undercard. There's more great fights on the undercard. It's what we do here at BoxNation. Go to boxnation.com to subscribe, and you can watch that and so much more on your TV, on your tablet, however you want to watch it. Just make sure you're watching it. Do not miss out. Now, a few weeks ago, 23-year-old Ghanaian... No, do you know what? Scrap that. We're having him. 23-year-old Brit Isaac Dogboe dethroned the previously undefeated Jesse Magdaleno to become the WBO World Super Bantamweight champion. He did it in style. He stopped the champion. He ripped the belt from him. Now, we tried to bring you him afterwards. Steve Lillis gave him a call, but the audio was all over the place. We couldn't use it. But last week, he popped in to see the one and only Steve Bunce for Bunce's Boxing Hour and had a quick chat. So Steve Bunce asked him at what point did he know that he was going to stop Jesse Magdaleno?
Honestly, when I was going into the fight, I was thinking tops, I was going to game out maybe in round 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That confident?
Yeah. But then first round, and then I was just on the floor. I was thinking to myself,
yes, I was wondering if you were going to mention that.
I found myself on the floor in the first round. In my mind, I was just thinking, I wasn't hurt. But then in my mind, I was like, damn, this is going to be a 10-round fight. I mean, a 10-8 round. And then all I could hear was my father telling me,
Isaac, Paul in your corner.
Yeah. Because I got back up straight away. And I just wanted to go back and engage. Yeah. And he was like, no, Isaac, keep moving, keep moving, calm down, Isaac, keep moving. And he was telling me, so I went back to the corner and he was like, when you go down, you can't engage straight away.
Yeah, of course.
You have to wait, then the next round, you start afresh. So yeah, it was a great learning experience.
And then you dropped him in the 5th. That was the heavy knockdown. But
yeah.
So at that point, did you think he's mine now? He's mine now? Because it had been a hard fight. You're having to work all the time.
I thought he wasn't going to get back up.
No, neither did I. That's when he goes down like he's been hit by a bullet from the balcony or something. How did he get up? I mean, you felt the punch landing. It was perfect. He goes down. He doesn't move for 1 second.
Nah.
What was going through your head when he did turn around and stand up?
I was just in the corner thinking to myself like, wow, we've got a long night. It shows that he's a true champion.
Yeah.
I mean, he's young, only 26.
Exactly, he's a baby as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, 26, around that time, he's getting to his peak. You know, so the strength is there.
And you know what? And you know the good thing is he can say, "Oh, I was drained at the weight, I hadn't fought for a year." He can move up great, and at some point in the future, you can fight each other at featherweight. It's perfectly okay. There's no problem. And you just keep your mouth shut when he starts telling you, giving you his excuses. Isaac, when you go back to the neutral corner, and he goes down for the second time in the 11th round. It's stopped. It seems like it takes you a second to realise you actually don't move your hands. You can't see your face, but it's a bit like.
Wait, is he gonna get back up, or is he gonna stay down? So, yeah, I went back to the corner, and I wasn't sure because the ref went down. I thought maybe he was counting. So all of a sudden, I see him push. First, I hear my father, my corner, decided to scream. They were going, yeah. So I was thinking, what's going on? But the ref was still there. So I was thinking to myself, is it over? You know. So I was thinking, so then they decided to climb up into the ring, and then I see the ref put his arm around him.
So that's when that's when you dropped to your knees.
Yeah. So I was dropping. When I was dropping to my knee, I still looked up, like, see.
To make sure the ref wasn't going to let him continue. Right, so that was glorious. It was fantastic. You did the interview. You're in Philadelphia. And then suddenly, let's not mince our words, your life gets turned upside down. You're meant to be on a plane the next day. You end up staying 3 weeks. You go all around the world. You're meeting with kings and heroes, legends, Azuma Nelson. It takes us about 3 months to get you in our studio. Where's the international man of travel, Isaac Dogboe, been in the last 2.5 months, Isaac? Give us everything.
First and foremost, you have to apologise to all of our audience, for not being present.
I'm only joking, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I had to go to Ghana because I'm from one of the royal families in Ghana. I come from the Royal Badu family, we had to, they've been a great support to us.
So you had to meet family members,
because of the royalty aspect of.
So is there a king of that side of your family?
Yeah, that's my grandfather.
So you had to meet with his godfather. So you had to meet with
my
him.
grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to go over and back to Ghana and whisk around, show people your belt.
To meet the family, and then afterwards we had to meet the president and the ex-president, and we had to do a Thanksgiving service. The Paramount King, so he organized that, and a lot of people came to my hometown, and it was an awesome feeling.
In addition to the president, the ex-president, and your king, you met with the king of African boxing, Azuma Zoom Nelson. What was that like? Was he happy?
Oh yeah, it's not the first time I've met Azuma.
I know that.
Azuma has been a great inspiration to myself. Every time I've had a fight in Ghana. He's always present, he's always, always has something great to say. Yeah. And it's always a great feeling, to be able to, watch the sort of things that he has done over the past years, and also think to yourself that, you're following that footsteps,
Now you're 23, still 23. Where are your feet? Are your feet on the ground, or are you still a little bit all over the place? Because it's all happened so fast. It's been so fantastic, but it's been where are you at the moment in your head? Are you kind of calmed down, or are you still in a bit of a whirlwind?
Oh, I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. All the traveling as at now, I believe it will be settled. Be settled, because all the hard work has been done. Sure. We went on the road because we just wanted to test ourselves to see, our chances in terms of boxing, So that was the reason why we had to be traveling around the world, fighting everywhere, anyone, So right now, as we have the world title, it's time to settle back down in the UK, go back to uni, and just, start training until the next challenge.
It's unbelievable. So now I'm going to ask you about potential. We're running out of time here. We've done a long time. We're going to ask you about potential fights. What, will you fight again in September, or will it be October? Will you try and fight twice this year? And so, any ideas going forward?
My next defense, my first defense, it will be in August.
Oh, in August. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
August. Right now I'm signed to Rising Star Africa Promotions. That's a company set up by myself and my father, and we are partnered with Top Rank So
Okay.
I'm signed to these two promotional companies. So they're looking to put me straight away in August. So
Good.
after August, we're looking forward to unifying the division.
Steve, I told you how Jack Catterall is becoming one of my favourite fighters. Well, so is this kid. He's 23 years old. He's Ghanaian. No, he's British. He's one of ours. How good is Isaac Dogboe?
He's very good and he's very young, so he's only going to get better, Dev. But I've got to pull you on one thing where you said we're claiming as one of our own British. He's not British. He's from South. He's from South London. He's a South London world champion where I'm from, so we're claiming him.
So you're having him, Steve.
He's very good. You know, the win against Magdaleno was. It was a big upset, wasn't it? Look, we and when he had that torrid early round, we thought it was over for him. But he dug so deep and had so much desire, and he's a very good fighter. Look, he's not. You can't say he's up there with the elite world champions yet. He's only just won his world title, but he beat a very good world champion. I think there's talk of a rematch taking place, and in the rematch, you'd only fancy one man to win it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, and as you said, he's not going to be considered up there with the elite yet. He's 23 years old. He looks 15 years old. Let's not overlook how young in the game is. Young in the game he is. I heard the other day he did an interview with IFL TV. He says that he could finish his career at 154 pounds. So that's quite a few weight divisions above. I mean, is it realistic, Steve?
No. The boxers, of course, they can dream, but look, when he's been to featherweight and he come back down to super bantamweight. He'll go no more. He's looking at his frame. He'll go no more than featherweight. Perhaps he might push to super featherweight if there's a payday there, but he wouldn't be big at those weights. Looking at him right now, but saying that, he's 23 years of age, Dev, so he could suddenly fill out and suddenly look like a big featherweight or super feather. But look at him now, I can only see him going to feather at best and maybe super feather if there's a payday out there.
He's an absolute beast, by the way. You talk about him looking like he feels, he could fill out in a few years. I want to fill out like he is now. It's an absolute, the muscles are ridiculous that he's got on him. So you do wonder how much more muscle can he pack onto that short frame that he's got.
Yeah, he looks after himself. I mean, you look at some of these fighters, even like Lomachenko. You look at them, and even they couldn't go to them sort of weights. You got. It's pie in the sky to think he can go to junior middleweight.
Well, we look forward to seeing what he does next. He mentioned he's going to be back in August. That's Isaac Dogboe, and I'm sure it will be chronicled here on BoxNation. If he's working with Top Rank, which he says he may well be, you know what that means, Top Rank and BoxNation. We're like besties in the boxing game. What we have, they have. What they have, we have. We just work together. We love each other. It's a loving between Top Rank and BoxNation, isn't it, Steve? Talk to me. Tell me about the loving.
Yeah, look, we've been partners of ours since this channel started in October 2011, and we've had the best of Top Rank, and we still get the best of Top Rank, and that means Crawford and Lomachenko. And I ask everybody out there, who are the best two fighters in the world? Answer me, Crawford and Lomachenko. There's your answers. What channel do you watch them on in the UK? BoxNation. So there you go.
That's right. That's what we do. That's who we are. And hopefully we'll be seeing Isaac Dogboe again very soon on the Channel of Champions. Now, if you're 27 years old and an undefeated English super middleweight champion, surely the last thing you think about doing is retiring. Well, that wasn't the case for Darryl Williams, ferocious Darryl Williams. He decided he was going to retire from the sport, but he's changed his mind. He's back. He's defending his English title against Lennox Clark June 23rd at the O2 Arena, live on BoxNation. And you know what? We hadn't heard his voice on the podcast yet. So I got Steve Lillis to give him a call.
Thanks for joining us on the BoxNation podcast, Darryl. We haven't had you on the channel since your two fantastic wins against Jermaine Schmiley. The last one last July, 11 months ago. Where have you been?
Yeah, I've been training. I've still been in the gym. It's been hard to get back into the ring, to be honest. There's just been some issues for myself.
Yeah, just recalling one or two of your tweets and might have been Facebook posts where you seemed a bit disillusioned with boxing and the sport itself.
Yeah, first things first. Before I get into that, I just want to apologise to anyone that I may have offended. Frank Warren or Mickey Elliott, my team, and things like that. I made a rash decision off impulse, and it was just, I was just very emotional at the time. I had just lost my grandmother, and who I was very close to, and things were just very awkward for me at that time, and I just needed that space.
Well, it's fantastic you're back, because there was, obviously there was your reasons. You had, your issues with you losing your grandmother, unfortunately, and but at the time you seemed to be on the crest of a wave. People had your name on their lips, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It was a really good point of my career. But it just just things just happened, and there was a lot of there was a lot of things that I needed to deal with within myself, but we've dealt with that now. I'm back with a new team, back with AJM Boxing. I'm down in Swansea training with my old trainer as well. I'm also working with Mel PR, it's just really good. Things are really starting to look up.
Tell us, Christopher, the last time we spoke to you, you was with Ricky Hatton in Manchester. How comes you've ended up in Swansea with your training team, a new training team? That's a long way from South London.
No, it's a long way from South London. Well, what it was mainly, it was sort of, I sort of ran out of money to go up there, basically. Keep going back and forward to Manchester, and luckily in Swansea, I was able to get like a sponsorship and that to help me out to train a little bit, and so it's worked out well for me down there.
And you've got your fight against Lennox Clark coming up next week. It'd be great to see you back on BoxNation. Tell us how you see the fight going.
What can I say? I see me winning, definitely. I see me winning in quite a good fashion too. Not to take anything away from him. He's a good fighter. He's got a good record, but a lot of these people, they haven't been in with the character that I am. And that's what throws a lot of people off. Even the fight which I had with Jermaine, it was, everyone said, "Oh, he's too small. He's too small for the weight. You're going to be much stronger than Jermaine," and blah blah blah. It didn't go that way. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes next week. But I'm sure I'll be victorious.
Did you, just looking back, the 2 wars with Jermaine Smiley, what would they like to be involved in, like 20 rounds of boxing like that, where it was just give and take?
You know what? It was, for me, it was quite good, because I like having a fight anyway, and I think it really showed boxing fans that how much of a heart I've got, and how much fight I actually have in me. So that part of it, I think, was really good. It's for this fight now for me to show the other side of me, which is more of a boxing ability that I have. Rather than just going out there and just throw punches,
Who is your trainer in Swansea?
My trainer is David John in Swansea. He actually started training me from the first day I put on the club, actually. He was actually my first ever trainer, so I've gone back to the basics with that. And now it's time to just cultivate and go further.
What is it your hopes are for the rest of 2018 now?
I just want to stay active in 2018 now. I just want to stay active and just keep fighting, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to get better, and the only way you're going to really learn. If you stay in the ring, you stay fighting, and you can always check your mistakes, and you can always see where you've gone wrong. Yeah, that's for me. That's the next thing for me. I just want to be active and just keep in that zone.
And then maybe move on to British, European, Commonwealth titles the end of this year, early next year?
Yeah, obviously that's all down to management and other things, to get those sort of fights and get things going. But even if I did get to those stages, I just want to keep fighting. I just want to keep fighting. I don't want to stop like I have before, But yeah, moving on to British title fights and Commonwealth title fights, that would be amazing this year.
Is there anyone in particular you look at and you think that's the man I really fancy fighting and beating?
Not particularly. If they put someone in front of me and that's the guy I got to fight, that's the guy I got to fight. I don't think of. I never really think of people, I want to fight him, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. You know, it's just what's there, what's in front of me, and I just take every fight as it comes.
Just before we let you go, just one quick word about your sparring with Mark Heffron. You become a good friend of yours when you was at the Hatton Gym. I understand you helped him spar for his great win at the weekend.
Yes, I have. Mark's a very nice guy. He's a very, very nice guy, and he can pack one hell of a punch. So, me and him got a lot of mutual respect for each other, and I was really proud of his fight the other night, and we did. I think we did 24 rounds in preparation for his fight, and my fight. So we're clearly both ready for the fights coming. So it was really good, really tough, but really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's good sparring. That's what the whispers are. That there's nothing given by either of you, even though you get on.
Yeah. No. There's no love lost there when it comes to actually throwing the punches. But afterwards, we're all really cool.
Steve, we like Darryl Williams, don't we?
I like him a lot. He's got a bit of attitude to him. I'll never forget that press conference before the first Jermaine Smiley fight in Leicester, and he sort of stole the show a bit there with what he was going to do to Smiley and how he spoke. And I know after the 2 wins against Smiley at Frank Warren's office, they were particularly excited about him. And Frank had some big plans for him, but he went his own way. It seems that Darryl knows he, made a mistake retiring. He's apologised to everybody, but let's forget all that. His career's back on track now, and he's going into this fight with Lennox Clark, who ironically has also got a win over Jermaine Smiley recently. So let's forget the past and just push forward with Darryl, and let's hope he can fulfil this potential that Frank Warren believed he had before, when he first signed him.
Well, let's not forget the past too much, because there's one point I just want to bring up here as to why I like him so much. This is the guy who, during a fight, decided to start barking at his opponent, and that was Jermaine Smile, and then got told off by Ricky Hatton in the corner. Now, that was TV gold. It was an amazing moment.
Yeah, you love these little snippets, don't you, Dev? Yeah, he's a character. He'll go to the press conference. He'll give people something to talk about. And it's how you got to sell yourself. There's got to be a background story to you, and him going missing for a year even maybe adds to the mystique of him. As you said, and you was introducing him to the world. How many fighters are 16-0, got Frank Warren behind them, Mickey Elliott managing them, big thing playing for him, suddenly retire. Okay, he had his personal problems, losing a family member, which must have been terrible for him and all of his, the rest of his family. But, so you got him barking at opponents. You got him, given the Tyson-like stares and outbursts before the first Smiley fight. They're the sort of people, but characters we want in boxing. Especially if they can fight as well, and I suspect he can. And I understand the sparring he did up here near Manchester recently with Mark Heffron, who's become a close friend, was worth admission money at all. Certainly helped Mark Heffron at the weekend, the sparring.
Yeah. Well, we saw that. And I'll tell you what. There's something else. I like it when there's little rivalries developing. Not full blown yet. That's all great, but there's little seeds being planted. So there's Darryl Williams, right? And there's Umar Sadiq. I don't know how aware of him you are, Steve. He's 2-0. Yeah, of course, you've interviewed him before. He's 2-0, but he started calling out Darryl Williams. They're in the same weight division. Obviously, Darryl Williams is a lot further down the line in his career, but I like that Umar Sadiq has started kind of targeting him. He's been making little vlogs about him. He's been calling him a ferocious chihuahua.
It's great, isn't it? You know what's great about Umar? He, like Darryl, there's a bit of a story to him. He was an accountant. You got the accountant against the street kid here. That's what you've got. That's what you've got. You've got the guy and you've got the white collar fight, you could almost say, against the blue collar fighter, Darryl, who's from the streets of South London, against one who's a qualified accountant and gave up a great career to become a boxer. He puts himself out there. And you know what's great? Umar wants to fight after 2 fights. I think that's fantastic. Hey, you won't get me saying a bad word about Umar Sadiq, and it's about time we got him on here again, I think.
Absolutely. He wants to fight everyone. And he's 2-0. He's not going to be sanctioned, you would think, to suddenly fight for the English super middleweight title after he hasn't done 10 or 12 rounds. He's done 4 rounds a couple of times. But that ambition and that planting of seeds already for a Darryl Williams fight at some point down the line is good. It's clever, and he's gone about it in a funny way. And I a nod to Umar Sadiq's work on the Darryl Williams front.
Yeah, it's clever, as you say, because he's only got 2-0. He's got people talking about it. He's had 2 fights, and we're talking about a fight with the English champion. That's selling yourself. Take a bow, Umar.
Absolutely. But back to Darryl Williams. June 23rd, he is back out at the O2 Arena live on BoxNation. That show has got Martin Murray against Roberto Garcia now as the main event. Billy Joe Saunders unfortunately had to pull out as he had a hamstring injury. But now Roberto Garcia, who's actually quite a decent late stand-in, is going to step in, and it's a defence of Garcia's WBC silver middleweight title. What do you know about Garcia, Steve?
Hey, he had the good win against. He's the guy that had you just thrown it on me, who beat Omar Chavez in his last fight in a bit of an upset.
Quite possibly. And he's
fought
Margarito, he's fought Bradis Prescott.
He's only lost a couple, and Don King promotes him. Now, whether Don's going to roll into town next week, I've no idea. But Don King's his promoter, and I think he's orthodox as well. And Martin was preparing for a southpaw. And I did hear about 10 days ago they were looking for a southpaw for Martin. And I'm pretty sure this guy's orthodox.
Interesting. And what you mentioned about Don King, there's another little subplot there. Don King comes over to the UK, links up with Frank again. It'll be like old mates getting together. That would be good fun, wouldn't it?
It'd be good if Don is over. I know he's in. He's in his 80s now. It'd be good if Don was over. He's the him and Bob Arum are the elder statesman of boxing. And what I did laugh though at Don King at the weekend, I don't know if you've seen it. Tris Dixon put it on Instagram.
Oh yeah. I think so.
Don King and Mike Tyson coming face to face with Don King for the first time in quite a long time and chucking a glass of water at him, and Don just walking past and laughing it off as if nothing's happened.
It's incredible, isn't it? Mike Tyson's won for something like that. It was Don King tapped him on the shoulder, but Mike Tyson saw him approaching, so he must have known that something was going to come. And then he just threw the water over him.
Yeah.
Have you seen it when a fan tried to take a selfie with Mike Tyson and he gets all quite agitated?
No.
There's a great scene, like a fan, he's getting a bit too overfamiliar, puts his arm around Mike. Mike hasn't sort of said, yes, you can take a picture with me. And he puts his arm around him and starts going for him. And Mike Tyson proper elbows him off, 3-4 consecutive elbows, get off me, man, kind of thing.
Mike fascinates me, and he gave me my... I've said this story several times, but I don't think I've said it on the podcast yet.
Give it to me, Steve. Come on.
He gave me one of the most surreal moments in my life. I was in, where was it? I think it was Louisville, when he fought Darryl Williams. And on the Wednesday before the fight, he invited the British press to his hotel suite for a media roundtable. For about 7 of us went up there, and we go in this hotel suite, and there's Mike sitting in an armchair in the corner, head down, like a little old man. This guy was a pale shadow of the lunatic we saw 24 hours earlier on the pads with Freddie Roach. We were fearing for what he might do to Darryl Williams. He looked out of control. So he's gone in this room, and he's like a little old man sitting in this corner, stooped, sitting in this chair. So he speaks to us for half an hour, and there's not a lot coming back from Mike. He's talking, but it's hardly, hold the back page and have a 2-page spread inside with Mike Tyson, as you'd expect if you're a newspaper reporter. So at the end of the half an hour, some of the press men from Mike said, one more question. So it wasn't really a question. So Tyson suddenly looked up, and the first time there was lights in his eye, it lit up, and he said, "Hey, God, I won't try doing his accent." So he said, hey, guys, you're from England? Yeah. He said, "I've got 6 English birds in my bedroom now." So people looked at each other. What's this guy on about? He said, "I want to take you to meet them." So he led the way. We all single file through thinking, what's going on here? And he goes in the bedroom, and there's 6 pigeons flying around the bedroom. Poo all over his bed. He sleeps in the bedroom with his pigeons. There's pigeon poo over the bedclothes. He said, "Yeah, they're from England. They're Birmingham Rollers." At this time, I say to Noel Hickman from The Express, if someone had a camera, imagine this. So Noel goes, "I've got a little Instamatic." Don't forget, we didn't have camera phones, but around the time of that fight in the early 2002, whenever it was. So he said, "I've got an Instamatic." I said, "Well, just get it out." Whispered it. You imagine the language from me, Dev, because you know me offset.
Sure.
And get a picture. And he said, he'll kill me if I grab a picture. I said, just get a bleep picture, will you? I'll give it here and I'll do it. So he's got the camera out and I pushed him and he fell in all the poo.
Oh, no.
He's got back up and took the picture. Mike didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Wow. That's a fascinating one, Steve. That's a great story. Wow. So you went into Mike Tyson's room, bird poo everywhere, birds flying about the room. You know, initially when you said I've got 6 English birds upstairs, I was like, oh, okay, what's he been up to? Has he gone back to the ways of, partying before his fight with Buster Douglas? But no, this is something quite different, eh?
6 English birds, Birmingham Rollers.
Wow, there you go. Well,
a little bit off topic.
No, great story, Steve. That's what the BoxNation podcast is all about. And let's go back to it. 23rd of June, O2 Arena, live on BoxNation. Martin Murray versus Roberto Garcia. Darryl Williams is on the show against Lennox Clark. Anthony Yard, the Beast, is back. Ohara Davis. Daniel Dubois versus Tom Little for the English heavyweight title. It's coming up soon. We can't wait for it. Make sure you subscribe to BoxNation so you can watch it and enjoy. Now, Steve, it's that time of the week again. Everyone wants to know. I get text messages, I get tweets, I get emails. They want to know what Steve Lillis going to be talking about this week. What's his rant? Is he going to rant? So, Steve, I've got to ask you, what you talking about, Lillis?
What I'm talking about is we are now about to start in 2018, or it's been bubbling, and I think it's here now, a golden era of boxing. Possibly what could happen over the next couple of years is the greatest era since, who knows, could even top the 1980s when we had Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, and there was in so many great fights around that time. And then, of course, George Kimball titled his book that came out around 2010, The Four Kings.
Yeah.
It was just a fantastic era. It wasn't just those. We had great fights between men like, Michael Spinks and Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Duran Barkley fights. It was just a hell of an era. I remember fights like Mugabe and Hagler, which just blew me away. And I just think right now we're going into a special era. We've got Crawford, we've got Lomachenko, we've got Golovkin still at the age of 36, unbeaten in 39 fights. And let's not forget the little men like Srisaket Rungvezai, if I pronounced that correct.
I was looking forward to that one, actually. Steve, how you was going to have a go.
Guys like that. And you know what? And you think we've got brilliant fighters like Leo Santa Cruz, who you can argue just about might or might not make the top 10. You've got Usyk at cruiserweight 14-0. You've got these Russians and, guys from old former Soviet states coming through. It's absolutely brilliant. And, we could have an era in the heavyweight division even coming soon. We've got, Joshua, Wilder, there's Fury. If Joshua and Wilder boxed, it would be, would it be the first time ever one man's held all 4 belts? When I say 4 belts, BA, BC, BF and BO. And then, there's Tyson Fury, who is still the lineal champion. He's the man who beat the man, whatever the Joshua Campbell will say. I just think we're just taking it for granted what we're seeing in this era right now. It's absolutely fantastic. And you've even got the minimum weight guy, Shayapon Munsri, who's 50-0 or 51-0. I just think there's a real special era. Some fighters them might be going on under the radar, but I think we're in a fantastic era. And okay, people will be saying, "No, what you're talking about, Lillis? It's never going to beat the era of the 80s and all that." And you know what? Maybe not. I'm not going to say it is, but we've got a chance it could with what we've got. And you've got a fight like Spence and Crawford, which we spoke about in detail earlier. That could become a fight for the ages, given the right build-up. We should be really enjoying every bit of this era of boxing. And when you think a lot of those fighters, like the 3 best in the world, Golovkin, Lomachenko, are on BoxNation and will be for years to come. Well, most of Golovkin's fights are. Crawford and Lomachenko are BoxNation fighters through the Top Rank link. It's a fantastic era. And when you see people moan and groan about oh, he's this, Jeff Horn was no good. Jeff Horn was this. Turn around and be nice to someone for once. Salute how good Crawford was. Salute how good Lomachenko is. And you know what? I hadn't even mentioned Mikey Garcia yet.
Oh, my God.
38-0. The man from Moreno Valley, California. 38-0. He's about to most probably unify a couple lightweight belts soon. Fantastic. And what we've got in this country is absolutely brilliant as well. You've got Billy Joe Saunders could be fighting Golovkin soon to stake his claim for a place in the world's top 4 or 5 in the pound for pound. It's brilliant.
It's a great era, Stephen. Amongst all those names that you mentioned, it sounds like a lot of them we'll be seeing on BoxNation screens, and we have seen on BoxNation screens, and we'll continue to see on BoxNation. What an era! I mean, what a good time to be a BoxNation customer, by the way, huh?
Always is a good time, but was it? For what it costs a month, we've got great fights on from all over the world almost every week, and over the next few weeks, from what I'm hearing, there's going to be a lot more added to the schedule, Mr. Sani. Although you might know a bit more than me, you're more on that division in the camp.
Nothing to announce just yet, but I'm tapping my nose as they do. When it's like, oh yeah, tap the nose. I can't tell you that kind of thing. But
you'll have to kill me to tell me.
There will be more announcements. There always going to be more fights added to the BoxNation schedule. Just keep an eye on our social media pages for that. And Steve, here's what's coming up this week on BoxNation. Obviously, we're a 24/7 boxing channel, so there's always something on. So how about this? Wednesday at 9 o'clock. It's another one from our terrific A Fight to Remember series. And this one, believe me, is one to remember. This week, the show looks back on Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, their third meeting, the thriller in Manila. How about that one, Steve?
Wow, what a fight that is. You know what? I'm just looking here towards my cupboard. I've got a few videos, believe it or not, still.
Okay.
You wouldn't know what a video is.
Yeah, what's that?
What's that? It's like you wouldn't know what a record is, but they're getting trendy again. I've got that on video here as well, but I haven't got a video player anymore. Nobody has.
Who has? But yeah, Colin Hart and Alan Hubbard are in the studio for that, and they were actually at that fight.
That's right, they were. Yeah, I didn't know Alan was. I knew Harty was at the fight, but Alan's been at most big events. But I remember him. He was even at the 1972 Olympics. I'm sure he was at that fight.
Yeah, mate, they've been at everything now. These guys have been around for thousands of years. You could kind of trace back paintings of old cavemen fighting, and these guys will be there in the background doing their fight reports. That's what we're talking about here with Colin Hart and Alan Hubbard. So that's Wednesday at 9 o'clock. It's a fight to remember. It's a thriller in Manila, and it's a thriller that you can't miss on BoxNation. So Friday, 7 o'clock, it's Bunce's Boxing Hour. He's back. It's free to air on Sky Channel 427. He has a great show on every week. Last week he had Isaac Dogboe. The interview was so good, I brought it to you on the podcast. Yeah, I don't just do that every week. Yeah, but I did it this week, and you never know who he's going to have on this week. Steve, any inklings?
I haven't. I'm afraid I haven't. I haven't spoke to the Bunce Master this week, but so usually I'll give you a little inkling who's on. But he's been getting a lot of studio guests in lately, so just watch who might be on that couch. And I'm not just talking about Barry Jones.
No, well, Barry Jones would be enough for me. I mean, but yeah, Friday, 7 o'clock, Sky Channel 427, free to air. It's Bunce's Boxing Hour. Now, how about this? Sunday at 8 o'clock. You get to Sunday, you've had a big weekend, you're having a nice, relaxing Sunday, and your missus might just say to you, should we put a nice film on? Tell her no. Tell her not tonight, love, because I'm watching BoxNation at 8 o'clock because my man Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, is on against Brian Valora. Steve, you'll be tuning in for that, won't you? You won't let Mrs. Lillis get a look in.
It's Father's Day, but when all the family are gone, I'll be watching that.
Yes.
Valora, one of those fighters who's been a good fighter over the years, not got the credit he deserved. Then he ran into a Pete Chocolatito.
Yeah. Absolutely, and he's good at skipping, by the way, Brian. I
think when you said that, I think you've put them on the Twitter before, haven't you?
Quite possibly. He's a sensational skipper, and it's a fight that you shouldn't be skipping. Sunday at 8 o'clock. Roman Gonzalez, Brian Valora, and this is Gonzalez. Just as he was really, coming over to the States, he'd already done, he'd been done on an absolute rampage around the world. He'd gone over to HBO now, perhaps towards the tail end of his career. Perhaps it happened a little bit too late, but we just caught the final kind of fire from Roman Gonzalez, and this is part of it. We're adding fights all the time to the Box Nation schedule. Make sure you're following us on social media so you know exactly what's going on. As I said last week, properly follow us. We don't care. Scroll through posts from 1 year ago, 2 years ago. If we get a notification saying you've liked it, we're okay with that. We don't think it's weird. It's absolutely fine. And last week we added Pacquiao Matisse. How about that one, Steve?
Great fight. Great fight. It's one in the sense that it's a big crossroads fight. That's what makes it so great. The winner's still just about clinging on there with hope of major paydays, and particularly if it's Pacquiao, I'm sure there'll still be one. But for the loser, it really is, you'd have to say, a one-way ticket to Palookaville. And when those sort of fights, when your career is on the line, makes for a special occasion.
Absolutely. And as these fighters, Pacquiao in particular, he's 38, 39, 40, around that kind of mark now, we get to that point where we ask, has he got one great fight left in him? There's that old adage, isn't there, that these fighters have got one great fight left in them. Has Pacquiao? Could it be against Matisse? Who knows?
It's a fight. He's a fight he can win. You know what? I know it's not as romantic as people think boxing, but it's romantic to think that Pacquiao would have one great night at the office left in him, if not two.
Absolutely. Well, keep those iTunes reviews coming in. They really help with the visibility of the show. I don't care if you're not nice, but do try and be nice, and do try and only give us 5 stars. We only do 5 stars, don't we, Steve?
We do. I want 6 stars, like them 6-star hotels that are cropping up.
Oh, mate.
There should be 6 stars for us.
Okay.
I don't want 5. I want 6 stars.
Message to our listeners, absolutely, and iTunes and listeners should combine to ensure that the Box Nation podcast gets 6 stars. So, Steve, another week, another great show. We had Jack Catterall, Isaac Dogboe, Darryl Williams. What a show! Did you have fun?
Always had fun, and it was lovely talking about how great this era in boxing is, and how lucky I was to be in the Box Nation studio to witness Terence Crawford's step towards greatness at last weekend.
Yeah, but also the show was the best part of this week's show, without a doubt, was you telling us a story about going up to Mike Tyson's room and seeing bird poo all over the bed and 6 pigeons or birds flying around the room. Wow. I just thought it was relevant because there was a Mike Tyson throwing water story in, and whenever you see Mike Tyson do something wackadoo, you relate to something he's done when you've been around. I mean, there's another Tyson story when Tyson was making his comeback against Peter McNeely, and in America you go in the press room and when it's pay-per-view, and they line up all these interviews for you, 30 seconds with this radio station, 30 seconds with this, and it's like for an hour they're doing this. And I was listening to Tyson doing this in the press room, and he was getting more and more agitated 3 days before McNeely, and ended up telling one reporter what he was going to do to him sexually. Make out from your mind what he said. Okay.
I can say it if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I think we can draw our own conclusions from that. What a closing story, Steve! That's a real bonus there. And remember to tweet us any comments at Box Nation TV, at Steve Lillis, at Sani Dev. Tell Steve how much you're loving his stories on this podcast. It really helps make it. And remember to subscribe to the best boxing channel in the world. It's 24/7 boxing at BoxNation.com. Thanks for listening.